You sit in the heat with nothing dramatic happening. No collapse, no revelation. Just the day continuing as if nothing important is supposed to happen next. In Albert Camus The Stranger, this is how it starts. Meursault stands at his mother's funeral. The sun presses down. His body is tired. He notices the sweat, the light, the physical discomfort. He does not cry. He does not pretend to feel something he does not. And quietly, without warning, that becomes the real crime. In this video, I will walk you through 5 sections. 1. When you don't feel what you're supposed to. 2. The trial you're always standing in. 3. The heat of the absurd. 4. The strange relief of the cell. And 5. What it means to live without anesthesia. Chapter 1. When you don't feel what you're supposed to. You've had moments like this. Something serious happens. A loss. A breakup. A warning from a doctor. A job ends. And people look at you, waiting for the reaction, waiting for grief, waiting for meaning. And inside, there's just flatness, or confusion, or fatigue, or a strange calm that makes you feel guilty. You tell yourself something must be wrong, because men are supposed to feel something here. In the book, Meursault doesn't explain himself. He doesn't apologize for his inner weather. He doesn't decorate the moment with emotion to make others comfortable. That's why the world turns on him. Not because he killed a man, but because he didn't cry at the right time. This is where existential dread often begins for you too. Not with death, but with an emotional mismatch. You start asking yourself questions that quietly rot you from the inside. Why don't I feel more? Why don't I care enough? Why am I numb when this should matter? And instead of answering honestly, you learn to perform. You fake interest. You fake motivation. You fake recovery. You fake strength. And the dread grows. Not because life is meaningless, but because you're tired of pretending it is full. Here's the first quiet insight Camus offers. You are not broken because you don't feel what you're supposed to feel. You are exhausted because you've been trying to feel on command. This is what Camus refers to as the absurd, and it begins here. It begins as a lived tension between what you're told life should feel like and what it actually feels like inside your body. Chapter 2. The trial you're always standing in. Meursault's trial is strange. The courtroom barely talks about the murder. They talk about his character, his habits, his lack of tears. They are not trying to understand what happened. They are trying to restore a story that makes sense. You know this trial. You carry it with you. Every time you wake up and ask if you're doing enough. Every time you wonder why discipline keeps slipping. Every time addiction creeps back in as relief. The drinking, the scrolling, the porn, the numbing routines you don't even enjoy anymore. You don't do these things because you're weak. You do them because you're tired of standing trial in your own head. Trial for not becoming who you thought you would be. Trial for not wanting the life you were told to want. Here's the part no one says out loud. Most men in quiet despair are not lazy or undisciplined. They are overjudged, constantly, internally. Camus shows something brutal and relieving at the same time. The world doesn't actually care about justice. It cares about reassurance. It wants proof that suffering has meaning, that effort guarantees reward, that if you do the right things, life will make sense. And when you can't provide that proof, the guilt turns inward. Payoff arrives quietly. Existential dread isn't asking you to find meaning. It's asking you to stop prosecuting yourself for not having it. Orientation begins when you realize this. You don't need a better defense. You need to step out of the courtroom. Chapter 3: The Absurd and the Heat. The murder in The Stranger happens under unbearable sun. Not ideology, not evil, but just pressure, heat, and fatigue. A body pushed past its limit. Camus makes this uncomfortable on purpose, because he wants you to see that life doesn't always break you through drama. Sometimes it breaks you through accumulation. You know this version. Weeks blur together. Sleep is inconsistent. Your nervous system never fully resets. You're not suicidal, and you're not hopeful. You're just cooked. This is the absurd as Camus understood it. Not meaninglessness as a philosophy, but meaninglessness as friction. You want clarity. Life gives ambiguity. You want a reason. Life gives continuation. You want assurance that it's worth it. Life gives silence. And so, the dread comes from arguing with that silence, from demanding that life explain itself before you're willing to engage. Here's the reframe that doesn't get sold as motivation. The absurd doesn't mean nothing matters. It means nothing is guaranteed to matter in advance, and that changes how you live. Payoff lands here. You stop asking, is this meaningful? And start asking, can I stay present without certainty? For a man in his 30s or 40s, this is crucial, because most of your despair isn't about failure, it's about waiting. Waiting to feel ready, waiting for motivation, waiting for clarity before taking action. Camus cuts through that lie. You act first. Meaning follows or doesn't. And either way, you live. Chapter 4: The Cell and the Relief No One Expects. Near the end of the book, Meursault sits alone in his cell. The arguments are over. The future has collapsed. There is nothing left to explain. And something strange happens. He feels relief, not because he's saved, but because the performance is finished. No more pretending. No more negotiating with the universe. No more hoping reality will change its rules. This is the moment most people misunderstand. They think Camus is endorsing despair. He's not. He's describing freedom after illusion. Think about your own life. How much energy goes into managing expectations? Your own, others, society's. How much weight comes from believing you are behind or late? What if the track was imaginary? Not in a lazy way, but in a liberating way. And so, payoff comes gently. When you accept that the universe is indifferent, something lifts. If it's not watching, it's not judging. If it's not judging, you're allowed to live more honestly. Not recklessly, honestly. That means fewer promises you don't keep. Fewer self-betrayals disguised as ambition. Fewer false starts fueled by guilt. Orientation shifts. You stop asking, what should I be? and start asking, what can I actually carry today? Chapter 5. Living without anesthesia. At the end, Meursault wants witnesses, not approval and not forgiveness, but just witnesses to his existence as it is. This is where the book stops being cold and starts being useful. You don't need to become harder. You need to become more awake. Addiction thrives on anesthesia, so does despair. Camus doesn't offer happiness. He offers consciousness, the willingness to feel heat without collapsing, to feel boredom without escaping, to feel loneliness without immediately numbing it. This is practical, even if it doesn't sound like it. It changes how you live. You stop waiting to feel motivated before acting. You stop promising yourself dramatic reinventions. You stop treating numbness as failure. Instead, you begin paying attention to your body, to your limits, to what drains you and what steadies you. You take one step that doesn't require belief, one walk, one honest conversation, one boundary, one night without anesthesia, not to fix yourself, but to face yourself. The absurd doesn't cure existential dread. It orients you inside it. And orientation is everything. Because a man who knows where he is, even in the dark, is not lost. He's just early. And so, in reality, you don't need inspiration. You need to stop lying to yourself about where you are, and then take one step forward anyway. Subscribe, not to this channel, but to the part of you that's still paying attention.